Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios, and it is Can That Paper Pumpkin. And today's going to be a little bit different. I'll try not to wobble too much. My tremors aren't bad this morning. But I am on the road. I am actually filming this today from Muscatine, Iowa, while Bob holds down the fort with the critters at home. And I'm kind of on a combined delivering chairs to a family member and locking myself away and working on a book. So, earlier in the year, I wrote down all the names of the paper pumpkins on index cards, shuffled them up, and then I drew out my paper pumpkins for the next 12 months. This is the one. It's called Hugs from Shelley. That was, May 2019. This is the one I brought up. Now, I did not realize when I pulled this one, until I pulled this one out of the warehouse, there was not a lot left in this paper pumpkin to can. But that's a good thing, considering that it had to come with me. But this also showcases how much you can do with a paper pumpkin and a few basic supplies that all fit in the box. So, let me show you first. I'm going to leave this here, I think, for a minute. No, we'll move it. Okay, here was the directions. And I will tell you that I do not have one of the cards that I made. I made one like this, and I'll zoom in. This was as from the kit. Housekeeping came in and put clean sheets on my bed this morning, and I dipped a $5 bill in the card that I had just made and sent it out the door with her. Now, I had done several of these cards the way they suggested and used them in 2019 when I did the paper pumpkin, but I still had a lot of product left. Now let's talk about the colors that work with this. Are the kit includes the Hugs from Shelley polymer stamp set, Early Espresso Classic Stampin' Spot, 12 printed card bases, 12 printed envelopes, a sheet of printed vellum die cuts, and I'll show you what those are in a minute. One sheet of printed regular die cut elements, 2 sheets of foil die cut labels. I'm trying to read this without my cheaters through the phone. 1.5 inch yard of velvet ribbon, 4 yards of pink thread, 4 bird trinkets, which are already in my bead box, 80 dimensionals, and 50 adhesive dots. Okay. Colors that go with this are Crumb Cake, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Pool Party, Pretty Peacock, Soft Suede, and Very Vanilla. Now, this is what I have left from the kit. There's some scraps in this 3x4 Ziploc bag, some of the threads, and that's pretty much it. I brought with me, aside from the adhesives that they suggested that were in the box, I also brought my Tombow Mono, and I brought a tape runner, so I had those with me. For the stamp set, this one is really pretty. It has Grateful, Hello, the Feather, a couple of different versions of the Seagulls, Thank You, Hugs, Dear Friend, For You, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, and an N sign. Let me see if I can turn it this way. See the N sign right there? So you could put love and hugs in the 2 different fonts, or use the word "and." So, and I used the "For You" on the front of the card this morning that I gave to housekeeping. Aside from the Early Espresso, I brought Soft Suede, and then I didn't think to bring any Stampin' Blends with me to color anything in. I also brought these 2 mini punches, and this one worked out really well. I thought I might want to do leaves behind this flower, but what I actually did was use that little center spot to punch the holes in my tags because I didn't bring a hole punch. I brought a Stampin' Block, some tag bases, a pair of scissors, my stamp cleaner pad from stampin'up, and then while I was at Dollar Tree over here the other day, I picked up another roll of the tear and tape. I use it a lot, and I brought some pearls with me, and I know they don't show up really well against that white. I brought some pearls with me, and that's what I had to work with. Now, here's what I came up with. Aside from the one card that I already showed you in the picture, I made this one. And this is the vellum die cut. It's the feather in a printed on vellum. I punched out one of the flowers from some of the what would have been part of the cardstock, and then I stamped hello on one of their tag bases. So that was one of those. I only had two full card bases to work with. And then I took one of the envelopes like this, and I stamped it in the opening, and then I turned it into a tuck spot. Actually, I've turned it into a journaling pocket. I raised the elements up on a dimensional, so I had, instead of using a brad to hold those in place, I cut this out from the front of one of the cards, or one of the envelopes. This is what the fronts of the envelopes look like. And on the one, this one was on with the rose, I cut it out, raised it up on a dimensional, and then I've glued note paper to the inside of the envelope and made writing spots. And so I've got that ready for a journal. And then I just took this one, and I really didn't want to disturb this point. My ribbon's a little crooked. I was working without my cheaters this morning. But this will glue at the top of a journal page and just flip up, and then I've got writing space here. So there was the second one of the envelopes. Then I made 3 tags. This tag is, 2 of them have pockets, so this one's got part of one of the card fronts. And then I stamped one of the seagulls in flight on the tag and added a piece of the envelope liner down here at the bottom for low color. And then I've got the whole back of this that I can write on. And I put some of that velvet ribbon at the top and tied it with some linen thread. Here was my other pocket. Again, with the velvet ribbon, I've taken a piece of the envelope and put it on the top here, so I've got a contrast in design. And then there's one of the sentiment bases. And I've just glued a piece of that ribbon there. When I get home, I'm going to use my tiny attacher and section it onto there. And then I have these 2 tags left. This one, I cut the flower off of this so that I could move it over a little bit, and instead of having it down here, I could have it on the side of the point. This piece of envelope had a tear across where I took it apart, so I needed to cover that up. And then the back is just plain for journaling on. And then this one, I wanted to leave this flower here, so I just left it as it was, stamped grateful, added a piece of the reversing side of the envelope for a contrast because this didn't completely cover the length of the tag, added a piece of the velveteen ribbon on the seam, and then again it's blank on the back. So that is my paper pumpkin for April. Next month I will be home, hopefully, and I'll have a full kit to work with. But I think, aside from the cards, like I said, these were all remnants of what was left from this paper pumpkin kit after I'd made several of the cards. And I still got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 elements if you want to count the separate tags in the tags. So this would make a good tuck spot, or I could put some paper on the side, turn it as a flip so I could write on both sides. That would work. So that's how you can a paper pumpkin that you don't have a whole lot left of. I will be back here sometime next week. I am not getting home until Sunday. Not sure what's going on next week, but I promise there's going to be stuff coming up. Tomorrow is supposed to be my check-in for the creativity planner, and I left the creativity planner at home. So no creativity check-in tomorrow. And then I think the first one is going to be next week when we have the case on the 5th. So I will see you next week. In the meantime, play with your toys and creative blessings.